So what's the deal with humor in a scientific or academic presentation? Should you use it, or does it make you seem unprofessional? And if you can use humor, then how and how much is okay in a presentation? Are you curious about the answer? Then stay tuned and make sure you watch to the end to learn about a free download you can get with this video. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Echo Rivera from Creative Research Communications. I help academics, scientists, evaluators, and researchers learn how to create awesome presentations and have fun while doing it. This video is based on a question from the audience. Lance asked, "One presenter was adamant that humor should be completely avoided, especially when talking about science. I personally disagree with this viewpoint and think humor should be ubiquitous. I would love to hear your opinion and reasons on the matter. Should humor be used in presentations? If so, how much would you recommend?" That is a great question, Lance. And hey, by the way, do you have a question about presentations? Details about how to submit a question are in the description below. Back to Lance's question, should you use humor or not? Well, like everything in this world, it depends. Take a look at these two scenarios. Which one do you want to see when you're giving a presentation? If you want to see your audience look like this, then make sure you don't use any humor in your presentation. If you want to see this one, then humor is probably a really good idea. So recommending to not use humor. I have to say, this is a really odd piece of advice. And there's a lot of bad advice out there, but I can usually at least understand where it's coming from. But this one? I mean, how is it that someone comes to hate humor in presentations? Who among us actually hates to laugh? And then takes it one step further to say it's actually a bad idea to make other people laugh. The best I can figure is that it's based on this myth that anything positive, fun, creative, or enjoyable is unprofessional, and that if you want to be professional, you have to remove all enjoyment and keep it dry and boring. Yikes! Boris the Unicorn, director of Joy here at Creative Research Communications, LLC, strongly disagrees, and so do I. But my definition of professional is that it's effective. So being a professional communicator means that people will pay attention to, understand, remember, and ideally use the information I share with them. And humor is actually effective at helping you achieve all of those things. Like everything though, there are some boundaries to set so that you use humor in the right ways. Here are 3 tips for using humor effectively in a professional presentation. Number 1, don't try too hard. Let it come naturally. You don't want to add jokes. Like, don't go searching for funny jokes about fungi or fish or p-values, whatever it is that you study. Don't do that. It'll feel too forced and it probably won't make your audience laugh. The best humor in presentations is more subtle than that. Good humor is an extension of you. Your audience will laugh at things that you find funny. And you don't need to have a theme or only have one type of humor or style of humor. My humor is all over the place. But it works because it makes me laugh. So when I get to that slide with the funny part, the audience can sense exactly what I'm feeling based on my body language and voice. So here's some examples. Here's an example of my sarcastic humor. And another way to think about it is it's demonstrating contradictions. I drew this little comic to demonstrate how we tend to accept that we should be trained on statistical analysis in grad school because just reading a bunch of journal articles doesn't teach you how to do stats. Yet when it comes to other skills like effective communication skills, all of a sudden we think we can learn how to create engaging presentations by watching them, which is especially funny because most presentations are awful, so it makes even less sense. So again, it's a contradiction, but I'm presenting it in a sarcastic or funny way. And one thing that you can't tell just by watching this video is that when I'm doing this in person, I'm saying it in a very lighthearted, fun way. I don't say it with a shaming tone or anything like that. I keep it lighthearted and fun. I've also been a bit dramatic at times in a way that crosses into being silly. So in this example, I was sharing the results of an evaluation project, and our clients, they basically didn't meet their initial goal. And it was actually really frustrating for them to not have met this goal because they spent a lot of time and resources on it. So I added a bit of dramatic flair using this photo to add some humor as we talked about something that was difficult, and it helped us get through the material without people getting too upset. And here's another example from when I'm being silly. I will often use pictures of my dogs. Dogs and pets are perfect ways to add humor and some fun to your presentation. So for example, I used this picture to briefly explain reliability to a group of service providers who participated in an evaluation project. They didn't need a whole lesson on reliability, just a brief introduction, and I wanted to do it in a fun, silly way. So I used this, and it worked. After that presentation, service providers said things like, "I bet this research stuff is really complicated, but the way Echo presents it makes it easy for me to understand." That's the power of humor. Hopefully, these examples give you some ideas for how you can use humor in your presentations. And I've put these examples in a handout that you can download for free. Details are in the description below. Let's move on to the next tip. Number 2, don't punch down, ever. Only punch sideways or up, because this is where you might come across as unprofessional. So for example, I just watched a documentary where professionals were being interviewed. It was a serious documentary, and some guy tried to use humor to make a point about how excited he was about something, and his joke, his analogy was something like he felt like a boy with a Playboy magazine. Like, that's just nasty. I don't know why men think jokes like that are funny. And again, this wasn't just some guy on the street being randomly interviewed. This was a professional being interviewed about a serious, important academic topic. It was completely inappropriate. And again, just gross. Okay, if you're still with me, then let's move on to the last tip. Number 3, don't worry about how often to use humor. There's no real formula to this, like add 1 piece of humor for every 5 minutes. There's also no max number of times you can use humor. It's just like I say with how many slides you should use in a presentation. Don't worry about it. That's kind of the wrong question to ask because ultimately it doesn't matter. Use as much or as little as feels natural to you. Now here's a bonus tip. Number 4, humor isn't your only option. If you watch this and you're really upset or you're feeling like humor just won't work for you, then don't force it. Humor is only one way to add joy to your presentation. You could also just use really beautiful or powerful visuals, stock photos of people or nature or animals. Or you can use stories or have fun examples and hands-on activities. There are a lot of ways to do that. Choose what feels natural for you and something that won't make you feel worried about what you're going to say. So that's it for today's video. Make sure you grab the free handout with these examples of how to use humor that I showed you in this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share it with your friends and colleagues on social media. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!